Game Day back for another week. Joshy here. You've got Brent. You've got Bogan in the background. Lads, week 1. It's come and gone so quickly. It was an absolute friggin' nightmare. Hampton, mate, some very average scores from us. Bogan got the both of us, so he's got bragging rights this week after week 1. But, mate, give us your quick take, Hampton, on round 1.
Holy dooly, mate. As much as we all wish Supercoach to be back, what a round it was. As you said, it was absolute mayhem. Plenty of upsets. The footy was close across the board. You know, no one went super big. None of the guns really fired. You know, Turbo didn't do too much, but in retrospect, he did a bit more than a few others. So plenty of injuries and things to talk about, and guys returning in week 2, mate. But yeah, for me, it was pretty dire. Started pretty good with Bullmore and Targo in my starting side on the Thursday night.
Yep.
But it was all downhill from there after that, unfortunately, bud. So 8.26, not a great start, but seemed to be sort of thereabouts.
So Turbo or no Turbo, mate?
No, I didn't end up going with Turbo in the end.
Turbo.
Teddy and Paps in the end.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha. Mate, yeah, look, not much better from me, mate. 8.43. Fell victim to the cheese. That was the one that probably really hurt. You know, Teddy going terrible was sort of, the gap we wanted was happened. You know, like Turbo obviously scoring 52, updated to 62, but that was where we needed Teddy to come out and sort of throw in that 90 or a ton just to sort of rub it in. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. So I think that mate, I reckon that the jury's still out on what was sort of the better approach, with or without Turbo. I've got to be honest, like last week, it didn't really sort of affect anyone sort of yes or no. So I don't think we've got a point for either team just yet.
Well, it's interesting because they play each other this week, Teddy and Turbo. But, you know, with what Turbo threw up, he's in line for a big price drop at least. Yep. So that'll be interesting. But again, if you're a non-owner, you're not bringing him in round 3 now, and from round 3 is when Turbo's draw really starts to improve. So, you know, people are committed now. There's plenty of people looking at using one of their super trade bonuses or the chips or whatever they want to call them to get the 3 trades this week to try and fix a few things up. But, you know, if you're concerned that you got a low score this week, just remember, you know, you've probably done weeks. Some people have done weeks of research leading into round 1. Others probably not so much time, but you know, you pick these guys for a reason, so don't do anything too knee-jerk, trade rage as we like to call it, but stick with what you thought. And yeah,
I think you're spot on there, mate, because at the end of the day, you look at blokes who sort of did fail last week. You know, there's a lot of class players of Supercoach for the last sort of 3, 4, 5 years. So, you know, as you always quick to point out, mate, form is temporary and class is permanent. And, mate, these guys, they are what they are because of that. So, look, yes, you sort of get players that do finish off or sort of taper off with their Supercoach careers that we've seen in the past couple of years. And probably the latest nomination for that award would be Tamalolo, and sort of where is he going and what's he sort of doing? Is this it? I don't think any of those other guys are sort of at that spot just yet. So, yeah, always, and I think it's always a good time to sort of reflect, mate, after week 1 is some of these sort of golden rules of Supercoach, the not chasing points and things like that. I've got to give, based on that, I've got to give Dylan, me mate at work, a fucking big shout out. He sends me his team, the screenshot this afternoon, and he's got 1 trade left and the boost, and there's an X. And I'm looking through his team. I'm trying to figure out who the fuck is the cunt change from last week. I'm thinking, what's going on here? I see the same team. And then I realised Dane Gagai's in his team. And I was like, mate, come on. Look, Gagai's a solid player, but, you know, 106 or 110 or whatever the fuck he scored is very much an anomaly, Dill, mate. I see you in the chat there, buddy, so you're watching good.
I mentioned it to Brent earlier. That fucking cunt never played like that for South, ever.
Yeah, correct.
It's like someone told him it was a fucking Origin game.
For the next 10 weeks, he probably won't play like that for Newcastle either. So, he might have just been fresh coming off the off season. But, mate, yeah, look, a lot of these sort of things, you know, you don't want to sort of chase the points. You know, the rage trade is always sort of hard to deny. Yeah, just those few little things in Supercoach you want to avoid. Hampton, what do you got to add to that, mate? Give us some commandments, mate.
Oh, look, I think, like you said, don't chase points is a key one. You got Gagai's worth, 600K, I think, which is pretty premium dollar, especially for a centre wing. So, if you had him, well done. You can probably keep him for a little while longer. But if you didn't have him, I don't know. He's, definitely not someone you got to look to bring in straight away. You're spot on there. But these trades as well are super valuable come the end of the season, King. So as much as you have that urge to just rip as much of your team apart right now, unless there is a really good reason, you're going to be short in a position on your starting team, or,
mate,
with this thing with Brad Schneider and SJ going down, you might, be short a half or something like that. Unless you really need to, hopefully you can sit tight, because those trades are worth so much at the back end of that season, as we saw last season, as we see every year, time and time again.
Mate, trading for me is like punting. As soon as I fucking do it, I can't stop. I just got to fucking get everyone out of the way. Mate, if I can use 3 this week, I'll use 3 this week. It's, it's a nice line there on the fucking table. It's, yeah.
Look, that said, there is a different approach in that some people might look at it as this is the best time to use your trades, because you can maximize getting in those guys that are going to make money now, because you get to see them this week and next week to bring a few of them in before the first price changes occur. So there's probably a little bit of strategy to it as well, King. But
mate,
definitely,
speaking of that though,
trade smart.
Speaking of that though, I don't think there was too many in week 1 that really surprised us. You know what I mean? Like in previous seasons, I think those first 2 or 3 weeks have been key, like you say, to get the right price rises and things like that. This year just seems a little bit flat after that first week, just with how sort of harsh it was. I don't think there's too much really out there that people missed.
Yeah, I think most people were probably on it. A lot of them, guys like Tuilagi looked really good as well. So, I think there might be a couple of people didn't have. I think it was Max King looked really good as well. And then, as I said, there was a few injuries. So we'll see. Obviously, a couple of injuries, some good ones as well. Sean Russell was a bad one, ended up with 86 by half-time with a half-time hat-trick, and then he'll be gone for an extended period now. So that sort of sucks. But, yeah, like I said, those trades are so invaluable. Just be careful.
Yep.
That's all.
Now, Bogan, quick question, mate. Are we still following the same format from last year, where we're going to go through the results from last week and then the teams from next week?
Yes, we are.
Let's start then, because it's fucking taken long enough already.
Quick shout out to everyone in the chat as well. We've got a few in there tonight. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back, as always. Thanks for tuning in. A few of yous had good weeks. Shano in particular, that's why he's trotting around. You can hear him in there now.
Yeah, mate, he loves being in the chat when he's had a big week.
Between Penrith getting up and the Supercoach score, we're all fucked this week. So shout out Shano. But yeah, thanks for joining, guys. Good to see everyone in there, and looking forward to getting stuck in and seeing what's happening this week.
Mate, absolutely. Game 1 on the Thursday night, mate, and we had an absolute cracker. I don't think too many saw the Panthers absolutely dominating the Eagles like this, especially after Nathan Cleary was ruled out for the first 3 weeks of the season. Sean O'Sullivan, wow, what a performance from him jumping in halfback. And I think, mate, this just goes to show you how good that structure is in Penrith and what Cleary has turned it into. It's something we're used to for the last sort of 15, 20 years down at the Storm with Craig Bellamy. Whenever a player comes in, whoever it is, they're well versed. They're ready. They're ready to go. And mate, his kicking game was on point. His defence was good. I don't think he could have done too much more in his first game for the Panthers.
No, it was good, and looking at all those interviews with him and stuff after the game, he was just genuinely happy to be there and grateful for the opportunity, which is a good sign for Penrith. Next man up, that sort of thing. But yeah, they were pretty much flawless. The defence was unbelievable. I felt like Manly were just constantly coming out of their own end and just having to do the tough stuff all game. And Penrith just was so clinical and turned the screws, so to speak. Supercoach-wise, King, I thought Targo was amazing. He looked super impressive. He was a sort of cheapie that a lot of people probably had, but he looks a beast. He had 36 points in base. He scored a try. He breaks tackles. If he keeps up...
Had another try disallowed as well.
He did. So, that sort of space from a centre Yeah, that's keeper territory if he can keep it up. Obviously, a very small sample to go off at this point, but he looked unreal. And Toto outside of him, he just looks like another Toto, basically.
Well, this was what I was going to say. That was probably what impressed me the most is the last couple of seasons we've been so impressed with Toto and his running game and his kick returns and such like that. He sort of jumps in there on play 2 or 3 and sees himself in the sort of centre of the park and taking those hit-ups. Targo's done the same thing. Now, it's very, very rare for us to see a centre winger in probably, the NRL even do that. I'm going back to the Justin Hodges days. Hodges was brilliant at it. The scoot from dummy half or just that initial run early in the set to give the forwards a break. Targo's followed suit. He's following hhis man Toto. They look good there together. Obviously, Toto didn't probably get the service that we saw last season. I think he's maybe an avoid if you don't have him. I think we're going to see a sort of maybe a little bit of a price drop with Toto. Mate, Burton feeding him last year was brilliant. And, yeah, I just think Targo's probably going to take the points and get a few on the board in that first sort of 5 to 6 rounds.
Yeah, it's interesting, King, because I think Penrith have a really good draw for the next month. So, if Toto's going to drop, it's going to be on the back of him not going large in the next few weeks. And they play St. George, Newcastle, South, Dogs, Brisbane. So there's no top 4, or South's probably top 4, maybe. Who knows after what we saw this week. But, they do have a good run. But, yeah, I expect there will be a bit of a drop-off from Toto for sure. I thought Coruscant was good. He didn't play. He played under 70 minutes. There was some attacking stats
number 1 traded in this week.
Oh, look, it's interesting. As I said, Penrith got the good draw. If you're going him thinking he's going to have some more of those attacking stats in him. But the base wasn't huge. But, with Cheese going down, he's a bit cheaper than a lot of those other premium hookers. And he's probably the next best of that mid-range sort of price hookers, to be fair. But he will need to rely on those attacking stats if he's going to be sharing some of those minutes with Mitch Kenny. Even if he's going to play 65, 70, there might be weeks where he does play 55 or 50 or 60, depending on what happens.
Where you can take that gamble is this is the best team in the comp. Put Cleary in there and they're even better. So, he may be very well worth the punt in that sort of high 400s range as a hooker. Obviously, there's a lot of people who had Cheese. Where are they going to go? Whether they go up to Grant, down to Coruscant. As we say, he's the number 1 traded player in this week. Mate, for Manly, obviously the big one to talk about is obviously Tommy Turbo. 52 posted after the game, 52 Supercoach points, was upgraded to 62. Mate, did you watch the game and did you think that he was due an upgrade?
I did watch the game. I actually busted myself up at soccer before it, so I was a bit injured when I got home. But look, I think
we are
coming back,
ladies and gentlemen. We are,
mate. Dead set, holy dooly. Anyway, look, I just think Penrith shut him down really well. There was times early in the game where they put Tommy in those positions they did last season out on the edge to isolate that second and third man in, and Penrith just did a good job on him. That coupled by the fact that generally they were bringing their sets out of their own end. They never really got on top. They scored that quick try just before halftime to make it 12-6, which brought the game back. But I don't know. I just think they did a really good number on him. They showed sort of how you can shut him down, but they are the best team in the comp. So whilst they showed the blueprint, it's not necessarily always going to go that way.
Game plan to kick to Jason Saab, to take his sort of timing away from him, to punish him with tackles. That way Turbo didn't get any kick returns either, and I think it was just a good game plan that basically took the ball out of his hands. You can't stop Turbo. You really can't. But what you can limit is how many times you give him the ball in a game. And I think as a kicker, this is where sort of O'Sullivan was impressive. That's something that Cleary would do quite easy, and O'Sullivan did it really well as a sort of, as a stopgap for the next couple of weeks. Mate, Bullimore, what's the story?
Oh, look, a bit of junk there, a bit of luck there. You end up backing up for that try, I think, on halftime that I mentioned or something like that. So, well, they only scored the 1. So he crossed for the pie, which he had 45 points in base in 80 minutes. He's not going to keep that starting edge spot. So, if you didn't start with him, don't be fooled into probably getting him in now because that security for, those points is a little bit away. And it looks like he might only get 45 points at best playing 80 unless there's some attack in there. But if you start with him, good stuff. He'll probably plug that FRF number 2 spot on your starting side if you got him probably for another week or 2. But we'll see what happens with Teamlists. But yeah, I thought Gerbo looked good as well, even though it didn't translate to Supercoach scores. Olakatu as well. And even Liam Martin, mate, played 80 minutes on the edge, did score a try as well. But for a guy that's 430k, I thought he's looking pretty good. And there might have been a few people that started with him that were rewarded there. But yeah.
Sure. Mate, first game on the Friday night was the Raiders up against the Sharkies. My boys, the Sharkies, unfortunately went down. Mate, really good game this. So I think both teams probably had their own halves. The Raiders definitely dominated in the first half, and I think Cronulla dominated in the second half. From a Supercoach point of view, there's a few things that have come out of this game. One was that Savage didn't get a start. Jackie Whiten there's been a few whispers around about people. I saw earlier in the chat someone asking whether Whiten was a pod. Look, Jackie, I've known Jackie for a long time, and really good player, really solid body. He's a second rower playing 5'8". He is quick as well. He basically has everything except Supercoach, validity. He's had times where he has been effective in Supercoach and he can score an 80 or a 90. But I think if you look back last year was the biggest Supercoach scoring year we've ever had. And I think he only missed 2 or 3 games for the year, and Whiten failed to score over 100 for the whole year. Didn't score a ton. He will have games where he does sort of play well and dominate, but outside of those, he's sort of got that 40 average. So I think for me, he's a miss. I can't be moving from Akiri to him or anything like that. Anyone sort of wanting to rage trade or, if you look, I can understand if you don't have the cash flow and you had SJ, maybe it's something you do have a look at. But that'd probably be the only reason I'd sort of go there. But mate, for the Sharks, big news there, obviously, with Nicho Hynes playing solid enough. Scored 72 points, had the kicking duties, had the goal kicking duties. And mate, probably the biggest thing I look at here, and again, I'm overcritical of being a Sharks fan, but I didn't think Cronulla were good, and he still scored 72 points.
Yeah, it was interesting. I watched this game pretty closely, and I just felt like he didn't really get into those positions, or really did play that halfback role where he's one pass before that assist pass. When you're putting him in that halfback spot, obviously that ball he gave to Wilton, I think it was, to put him over, was a beautiful ball. But yep. I'm just wondering if more often than not he's going to be a little bit away from the action, because I just feel like he's, a little bit too close to the ruck at 7. But we'll see what happens. I think Will Kennedy's a great player, but he even showed on the weekend there was a couple crucial drop balls there. Can they afford to have that for what he does offer of brilliance? I think Nicho Hynes could be much more potent.
I'm going to stick up for Will Kennedy there. I purely think it was probably round 1 and just being gassed. I mean, that one he obviously dropped key with 30 or 50 seconds to go or whatever it is. That sort of, maybe a little bit longer, but we end up getting the ball back in another chance. I just thought that Kennedy made his speed as he wraps around on those block plays. It's as quick as anyone in the game. Like he reads that as good as anyone in the game, and I've always sort of fancied Cronulla more when they play off the cuff, but he actually makes those block plays look really good for the Sharks. And, I mean, again, I think the combination that him and Hynes, again, obviously Kennedy's probably not that, he's not relevant in Supercoach, but I think what he's going to offer Hynes and as a support player, Kennedy showed that last year, those block plays, he's the one who scores the try half the time. And I think that's what's going to give Hynes the assist or whatever it is, rather than Kennedy when Kennedy goes to the wing or the centre. So that's probably what I like the most about Hynes is Kennedy's ability to find the try line ahead of his wingers.
No, look, and it's a fair point. I think we're a little bit critical on Kennedy because he was, one of the best improved players last season. But yeah, look, good signs. He's a big price, 682. So, you paid for those points, 72 points. But as we ended up seeing throughout the rest of the round, that was a good, investment compared to a few other players. So, you're probably happy with that. They play Parramatta this week, the Sharkies, and then the draw opens up a little bit with St. George, Newcastle, then the Tigers. So owners will be sitting tight this week. Hopefully you can get something, and then good draw for the next few weeks after that.
Mate, look, I don't mind Hynes, and I've gone traded out Cheese this week just because I had to. And mate, I'm so close to hitting the button on Teddy to Hines, but that'd fucking go against the golden rule I was talking about earlier about not trading guns or not trading sideways or whatever. Just in the chat, Shieldsy, just a quick one. Ramian hates a pass and loves a dumb penalty. Mate, you're not wrong. I've heard a few people talk about Ramian in Supercoach. I think Ramian is purely a draft player. He is a third, fourth, fifth string centre winger with regards to point scoring in Supercoach. This is a guy who defensively is hard. He is good. And he has his moments in attack and his tackle bus, but there is no consistency there with his game whatsoever. The potential is there to be, an origin level centre. But until he finds that consistency, you gotta stay away from Ramian.
Yep, fair enough. Hudson Young and Haroa Ranira played 80 on the edges, which is interesting. So, a few started with Hudson King. He scored 80 points. I thought a few of those young Canberra backs looked really good as well. Tomoko, even Valame. They were just solid. Even that Schiller, whilst it didn't convert to Supercoach points, was, looked pretty good.
Yep.
Couple of guys that people were hoping might have done all right. Andrew Fafita at 200k in the front row, only 26 points. And I think he's now injured as well, King. So, or he's been sighted in a moon boot, so just keeping the teams there.
Fucking hopes and dreams, mate. That's all he was, hopes and dreams.
Yeah, look, Ramian heard a few, and also I think Nakora heard a few as well. 36 points for Nakora on the edge. A few people were hoping that sort of try that Wilton probably scored was Nakora, but you got to stick tight. As I said, if you pick some of these guys like Nakoras and these guys for round one, don't get hot and trade them out in round two because you've picked them for a reason. So this is what you're going to get. You're going to get a 36 from a Nakora, and then next week you might get a double and you get 80, 90, 100. So,
and mate, I will guarantee I'm off Nakora and I've never been on him. I thought the combination was iffy, but you will get a game here or there. And obviously, as an owner, if you are an owner, you've got to hope it's sooner. Nakora will score 2 tries off Hines. Find the right opposition, find the right week. Nakora will throw, in the next 6 weeks, Nakora will throw a 120 or a 130 out there, guaranteed. So, yeah, it's just dealing with the inconsistencies there. Matty Ledbetter, yes, I did go ahead with the Brett Finch team name. My team this year is called Finchie's Kids. So there you go. Mate, the game on Friday night.
Look, big Brisbane taking on the Rabbits. And again, this is probably the upset started around here. And Brisbane got up 11-4 over the Rabbits. I didn't see it coming, King, and I'm sure plenty of others didn't. I think Brisbane were far improved. I thought Rabbits were far from their best, obviously, as well. But full credit to the Broncos. They defended pretty well at times. They shut down some dangers there. And then, obviously, the try from Albert Kelly, the intercept, was pretty pivotal. And a bit of a momentum shift there. But, Brisbane held on. They were solid. And, obviously, none were better for Brisbane than Payne Haas. He was absolutely monstrous, mate.
Mate, huge. Probably for the first 2 or 3 teams I created in the off-season, he wasn't there for me. And maybe in a conversation between me and you, mate, just talking about him in general. And I was just convinced to just get him in there. This bloke is the biggest, the baddest that there is in the front row forward. His engine is beyond compare. His ability now to offload, we've seen it last week with 4 offloads. He just keeps going. He's got a good step on him. His athletic ability is probably not as vigorous as some of the other front row forwards in the game, but the combination with everything else that he offers, this guy is going to be a dominant force for a long time to come. And when it comes to guys like this and what we've seen with the likes of, Tamalolo for those couple of years when he dominated, you just can't stop it. You try as best as you can. The same with Fafita in attack. You can minimise it as best you can, but there's going to be those games where they just break out and they just go big. Haas started the season brilliant. I think he's going to average around that 70 minutes per game. And I think he is a must-have with what we saw on the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a beast. 75 points in base as well, which is crazy. 75 points in base, if that's correct, on the NRL Supercoach stats site in 71 minutes, which is unheard of. So, if we're going to start seeing a bit of a regression in points in attacking stats, potentially. I know it's really hard to get an indication from just one round of footy, pretty small sample, but you're going to be looking potentially for some safer captain options, and those guys are generally, your meat and potato guys in the forwards, and there's no one better than this guy. So he's currently at 54% ownership. That should be a bit more, I reckon, and he's still pretty underpriced at 595. So, if you don't have him, have a think about it, because I think he's going to be doing most of this season. The other one that stood out for me in this one, King, who I hadn't really taken any notice of prior to this, was hang on, let me get his name up. He was Paliasia. Now, it didn't really translate to big Supercoach points, but I believe he played huge minutes. Well, it felt like he was playing huge minutes. As it turned out, he only played just under 60, but I felt like he was involved in everything. It's hard because he's priced in mid 350 K, but I thought he was just as good for Brisbane.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I obviously wasn't watching for him as much, but I saw the opposite. I didn't really see too much from him that made me take notice that there was a good player on the park. I definitely like what I saw from Huss and from Patrick Carrigan. I thought Carrigan was brilliant for, we sort of going back beyond last year, back to 2020, when him and Huss sort of came on the scene and, followed each other scoring wise. Obviously, Huss just that slight edge on him, and again the same. But yeah, mate, Paliasia, look, obviously a cheapie out there if people want to sort of have a go. I do think that in the next probably 4 weeks, once Flegler is right to return from suspension or whatever it was, I think he's probably the one that drops out and sees his minutes reduce. But
fair call.
If he's a cash grab until then, I can understand people going in.
He's not even a cash grab. He's at 350K. I don't know what I was thinking. I just thought he had a good game from what I watched. But I did think Cobbo had a blinder, and as a non-owner, someone didn't start with him, I'll take the 43, because I think he had a try disallowed, and then had that one where he just made a meal of it with the basketball pass over the top. Yep. But he looked very good. And while Staggs was quiet, I think that combination on that right edge between Staggs and Cobbo is going to be a lethal one this season if they keep it together.
It looked real good. I know. Look, I've had people talk to me this week about dropping Staggs. Kano's talking about dropping Staggs fucking cold. Dylan, actually, who Dane Gagai replaced in Dylan's team was Cobbo, and I'm like, mate, what the fuck are you doing? Do you even watch football? If you've got these guys, don't be concerned. There will be a game where these guys fucking flick the switch. Staggs could go the next 6 rounds and score 90 each round. He has that potential too. And Cobbo's just going to benefit from it as well. And I think the good part as well, mate, is they look like they don't take the ball away from each other. I think Staggs is happy to sort of support Cobbo, and Cobbo's happy to sort of, vice versa. So I like them together, mate. I'm scared that I don't have either, buddy. Just a quick one. Stevie Walker in the chat. Finchie's kids, what did we get last week? 843, mate. It was a struggle. Thanks for joining us, Stevie Walker. I think he's a new viewer. Ryan Lamming in there. Old Lyle's been here a few times. But, yeah, mate, so I'm scared of the Stags and Cobbo combination.
Yeah, I thought they looked good. I agree, Matty, as well. He's mentioned Catewell. Catewell looked pretty good. He played 80 minutes, 45 in base, and he's pretty much the same type of player as Martin, who he has mentioned as well. And they're both priced pretty much the same. I think it's about 430K.
I will remember that drop goal for the rest of my life.
How good did he hit it?
Mate, he could have played for fucking Catalan Dragons or whatever. That was fucking amazing to watch. Like, I was fucking cheering. That was just beautiful. That I don't think any player has ever hit it so flush as a fucking second rower like that.
On the pickup as well. You sort of think quick. So,
mate, the pressure from inside, brilliant. I just get a drink, mate.
You're right. I'm just quickly checking on the south side of the park. Obviously, not much doing there with only 4 points scored. Source did score in the corner, so there's 67. Arrow was pretty good. I know a few people started with Jai Arrow, and they'll take that for the price at 450 odd K, whatever he is. 70 odd minutes, 52 points in base. So, you're going to need him to retain those minutes, but he didn't play 80. But, a good start for Arrow owners. Blake Campbell-Graham, pretty solid considering he didn't score a try. Cook, nothing too special. But, yeah, a number of guys in that list. Cody Walker in particular would have heard a few. Lachlan Ilias was a guy that I played. It just wasn't a very Supercoach friendly game for the Rabbits. Obviously, your team's only scoring 4 points, so lots of low scores out there for some of their key guys. But that's pretty good scores for guys like Cook and stuff, considering they did lose the game in that way. So anyway, hopefully South can bounce back this week, but they got a big task up against Melbourne. Moving on to the first game on the Saturday, and geez, there's been a few results I didn't see coming, and this is one I definitely didn't see coming. And that was probably echoed by the fact that I had Tedesco as captain. I brought in Satili Tupanua. I played Billy Smith King, and it pretty much couldn't go worse. I've never been so, what's the word I'm looking for, King? I was so happy the Knights were winning, but I was so upset that and shout out to Bogues, by the way, he's got the camera panning going.
I've had a crack at him during the week about the production value elsewhere with our competitors, and fucking hell, the transitions are beautiful. I love it. Fucking
so shout out Bogues. That said, look, the Chooks, there were plenty of disappointing performances. Sammy Walker, 24, plenty that had him. Whether you did or didn't play Billy Smith, the HIA hurt. Tedesco, obviously 32. Tupu, 36. All of them. There was not really any good scores. Crichton updated all right in the end, 66, but, the only scorer over 50. And they had that try disallowed early as well, King. I don't know if you saw it where Tedesco scored, and if that gets given, who knows how the game plays out. But that one really did sting in retrospect, especially considering they didn't do anything else for the rest of the game, really. So,
mate, I'm dirty about Teddy. I really am. It was very rare that I had a team in the preseason that had him. I'd sort of gone Pappy and Gutho, Teddy and Gutho, Pappy. I went with him. I was just hoping that old faithful Teddy. And you know what changed me to going it? So I'm a big sort of believer in Teddy not going that well early on in the season, right?
Mm.
And then I looked at last year in the first 2 rounds. I think he scored 146 and then 120. And I think I brought him in after that, and he hit the fucking skids. I just thought, you mentioned obviously not a lot of people expected the result with Newcastle winning. I probably didn't expect them to win by 14. I thought they were definitely capable of winning, because I thought it might take the Roosters a little bit of time to get those combinations going with Keary back. And, mate, Teddy was just really disappointing for me. He looked like he just stood behind the play. You know how he sort of pauses himself and brings himself behind the play to take a quick scoot or sort of take an offload off someone? He took that position again, but he just stayed there. He never got involved.
Yeah, look, and it was interesting. I think, and you said it, I think you said you didn't see the Chooks winning by much in this one prior to the game starting. So, you called it, maybe not the upset, but you didn't think the Roosters were going to get it done by much if they did. Yeah. And I don't know, the combinations didn't look there. Obviously, it's pretty well noted. Watson, Keary obviously missed a fair bit of preseason. Walker, Teddy was carrying a niggle. These guys wouldn't have played much together, and I think it showed. They just weren't. It wasn't crisp, and it didn't look like it was really going to happen all day. I think Joey Manu probably looked like one of their better players, to be honest, at centre. But yeah, look, interesting result.
Take long, though.
No, it won't. And we'll see. Another big test against Manly this week, so they'll need to bounce back. And again, if you've started with guys like Sammy Walker and Dan Tupou and Keary's and stuff like that, I think you've just got to try and hold tight, because you didn't pick them for 1 week just to get off them after a bad score. There was always the potential to get these sort of scores out of these guys. Unfortunately, we saw it in round 1, but it's going to happen. You're just going to have to ride the roller coaster at times with some of these guys, but I'm sure there'll be plenty jumping off. And look, mate, on the night side of the park, it was the outside backs. Dane Gagai has absolutely turned the clock back. I think he thought he had a maroon jersey on, King.
Yeah, absolutely. Never played a game like that in his life other than Queensland. So
absolute blinder, and probably the difference. Dominic Young also had a blinder. He's an interesting one at 339k now. King, he could be in for some rises. So, if you've got some issues with some guys in your centre wings, there's a guy he's around that Cobbo sort of price, which is offering a bit of a different option.
Yep.
Frizz was pretty solid as well. Pretty much all base out of Frizz, which you'll take. Clifford looked pretty good, but just, good performance across the park. But again, I just think the Roosters weren't on song, and the Knights are able to capitalise, which is really refreshing to see as a Newcastle fan, because I can't tell you the last time we beat the Chooks, to be honest.
No.
So
take it while it's fresh, mate. Whether it's round 1 or round 25, fucking you got to be happy about it.
Absolutely.
And what did we have after that? That was the first. Obviously the Warriors and the Dragons, mate. This was a tight one for a lot of the time. Obviously the Dragons got out to the early lead. The Warriors came back, and then the Dragons finally kicked away. Mate, Josh Curran, he got the 3 Dally M points, which in a losing team doesn't happen too often. I was surprised it wasn't even Blocker that did the fucking voting in this game. But mate, he was solid. I'm trying to figure. I'm dirty that I don't have him. I changed him for Lucy, and Lucy went out and just fucking played like a busted ass.
Mm.
And Curran looked good. Curran took every opportunity that he had to basically back up what he did last season for the Warriors. But I am wondering if SJ obviously is out for the next month, which we found out today, and Ash Taylor comes in, does Curran have the same effect with the new set of halves? Obviously, Harris Tavita going into the 6 as well, as he did last week with the combination with SJ, or compared to last year as well?
Well, I mean, he didn't get that too much attacking stats. What he had a try assist, sorry, and a line break. I'm looking here. I didn't actually see. This was one of the games I didn't actually get a catch. Just having a look at his minutes. King, he played 65 minutes. Was that for any reason, or that was just the rotation?
No, just like the rotation.
No HIAs or anything like that.
There wasn't really anything out of the ordinary with the Warriors side in this. It just looked like the general rotation. So solid minutes. Mate, the attacking stats were sort of from about 40, 50 out. They were probably even out of their own half. He isn't, and this is what I think we see from Curran compared to a lot of other players, is those opportunities that come there are normally created by halves. He can do it from there, with a little bit like what Fafita does without the big body. So he doesn't have to score tries to sort of do it, because I think he's got that line break or two in him in a game, and that line break assist. I'm not liking not having him. I don't want to get rid of Lucy, because, again, I think Lucy's probably got the same potential. But I want to figure out how to get this guy into my team as quickly as possible, because I think he's just going to continue the form from last year.
Yeah, look, and the Warriors do have a good draw king. So if you didn't start with him because you're unsure, but now you had a look and you like it, it's not too late to jump on. Obviously, you got Elise Katoa that's probably in a similar, well, not a similar sort of cloth as him, but is an alternative option who's a bit cheaper as well. But, I got Ryan Madison, who was, an absolute stinker and is out this week at least. So whether I look at someone like Curran as a straight swap or downgrade to a Katoa, because they do have the good draw, but it does suck that SJ has now been ruled out for a while.
No, I hadn't finished the other one. It's just the cup's big enough to fit 2 in it. So, well, fuck it, why not?
Yeah, but look, it looked like it was a good game of footy from all reports, pretty competitive. Some good Supercoach scores out there. Aitken as well, 58. Nothing amazing considering he didn't get any big attacking stats or anything like that. And on the Dragon side of the park, he had Ravalawa. I think he scored a hat-trick.
Yep, he did.
So, I think he was the best player in the league this week for Supercoach with 119 points. Terrell Sloan looked really good. I did watch some highlights of this one, set up a couple tries there, had a line break and a couple of line break assists for himself. So, anyone that took the jump on Terrell Sloan, well done. He's in that awkward sort of price at 450k. So I think a lot of people didn't look at him, but he looks a genuine.
Just quickly before we go on to the next game, thoughts on Moses Mbai, mate?
Oh, fuck. I haven't heard that name since you'd said it when you did it fullback last.
Fucking oath. I tell you what, he went better than every other fucking fullback I had. Actually, no, I had Russell at fullback, but there 69.
Jeez, Lord.
Mate, I had fucking Russell and Mbai, the combination at fullback. I topped the week, mate. Fucking stop.
He's had a try, an assist, and a line. Oh, stop it.
He played about
He's outscored everyone.
Mate, his points per minute is fucking happy-esque at his best. But anyway.
Yeah, look, and Lomax was good, mate, as well. He a few people took the punt on him at 500k. He had a try assist in there, some goals. But he's just busy, isn't he? He's breaking tackles, he tackles. He's a gun. So if you
he is the kind of player the opposition doesn't matter. He's just going to start to get better and better. As long as he can get that service from the inside, he will start to dominate teams. So, he's another one that's on the radar to get in as quickly as I can, depending on how these centre wings jump up over the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Last one I want to ask you about these ones, King, because I didn't see this game, but just having a look at his stats now. Jackie Bird obviously scored a try. I think he scored a try. But he did only play... He played 80 minutes, but there was only 38 points in base out of that. He didn't score a try. Did he not score a try? I thought he scored a try. Did you catch this game?
He did.
You have any
He did
thoughts on
score a
Bird?
try. But I caught it in glimpses while I was at work. I sort of watched here and there and stuff like that. So I want to stay away from him. I think there's that Tyrone Peachy about him. There's that trying to be more than you are or more than the role demands. If Jack Bird just said, look, I'm just going to be a fucking second rower and run hard, run my lines, do everything like that, I think there's a little bit more emphasis behind him. But I think at times he sort of gets confused that he's still, whether he's still a centre or whether he's a 5'8" or whether he's got a run across the park 30 yards. I just want to stay away from him for now, and I don't think the upside is there. I think some of these other guys have got much, much bigger ceilings. I think if Jack Bird has a good game, it looks like what we saw on the weekend in 70 points.
Yeah, no, fair call. And Amon, he was the other one. I didn't play him, but there would have been probably a few people thinking this wasn't a bad matchup. So a bit of a disappointing start for Amon, and also that Valea, who looks like he's going to be out for a few weeks now, the centre for the Warriors. So a couple of relevant cheapies sort of stung a few people there, and probably a few people stung by playing them, but that's the name of the game, unfortunately.
Yep. Last game on the Saturday night. And, mate, this was... Came home from work Saturday, absolutely fucking wrecked. And at about 6:35 Queensland time, so 7:35 New South Wales time, I fell asleep. And I woke up about 3 hours later to see the Cheese had got 1 point, to see that the Tigers were basically competitive right up until the final 10 minutes. And, mate, I was just absolutely heartbroken. My big sort of call of the season or the preseason was, Paulie Vaughan playing well, which he went okay, but without being a superstar. But I really thought I'd sort of convinced myself that the Cheese was the way to go, and made a very quick broken hand a few minutes in, put an end to that.
Mate, and it was one thing I didn't really consider all preseason, and it was something I did do very late before kickoff on Thursday, I think. And it was go Grant to Cheese, because I thought, why wouldn't you? You get a look at Cheese, you get some of those points out of him that Grant won't be there in round one. And then if one of the back rowers or centre wingers don't perform, you can swap him
smart,
down.
Wasn't it? It was.
Oh, mate. And then in retrospect, obviously, I would have played Randall, so I've missed an extra 50 points, which would have gone a long way in this week for my team. So, yeah, look, that's a pretty disappointing one. It looks like he's going to be gone for maybe a couple of weeks, 2 to 4 Kings. So... It's hard. You're going to have to probably jump off now, because he's going to have a bit of a break even about him once he returns, and B, if you've decided to run him as your premium hooker, you probably want to use that money elsewhere now, because 2 can be 4, but who knows? So
what I'd love to see is Belly bringing back at the 13, and on the bench, and sort of come in for the 13, and maybe not play 80 a game, maybe play sort of that 45 to 50 for the first week or two, and just see a massive price drop in him. If we can get the Cheese at around 400k after 4 or 5 weeks, mate, he'll be back in my team very, very quickly.
Yeah, look, so that was a hard one for any Cheese owners to start for that game, but Jerome Hughes was unbelievable. So anyone that forked out the money at halfback, the alternative to Cleary, well done, 640k. He was, one of the best.
Well done to Benny in the chat. Benny fucking picking both the halves. What did he pick? He picked Cleary, and then he picked Hughes on the way back.
He did in the draft, yeah. So, look, Hughes was in everything.
Well done.
And really encouraging signs, obviously, from Melbourne with no Munster, no Harry Grant. This is what they're so good at. Jerome Hughes steps up, Pappy steps up, and they just get the job done, even though it looked like a bit shaky for them there. And obviously they had a couple injuries as well. Christian Welsh looks like he's now gone for the season. Your man, unfortunately, King with the Achilles late in the game. And also I think the ACL to George Jennings as well, which is a pretty interesting one, which we'll get to in team lists. But yeah, look, Melbourne just doing what they do best, Supercoach-wise. Obviously, Jerome Hughes, Trent Loiero. I don't know what happened in that game with him. I imagine he shifted out once there was a couple of injuries. So, you know, I don't see that being too relevant. Nofo turned back the clock a little bit with a 65. He was pretty busy. Half of those points in attacking stats, though. Who else is in there that's probably relevant? As I said, Kelma Tuilagi, I think he looks good. He played 70-odd minutes. The pace wasn't huge, but I think he just looks like a footballer. He just looks like a damaging back rower that will put himself in some good positions. And it looks like Garner's fallen off the team list this week, which is another big plus for
this
Tuilagi.
bloke's a football player. He's a footy player, this bloke. Oh, fuck, he's a footy player. Mate, yeah, look, I think probably that, and again, I didn't catch the game. My biggest disappointment was Tuilagi going from 61 or 62 down to 46. I don't know what he lost. But, mate, he cost me 15 points. And then, mate, we haven't got to the game yet. But how Bo Firma lost his fucking try assist and his line break assist. What a fucking joke. Anyway, that's the game
and mate, it'd be remiss of us not to mention your performance, mate. 64 minutes, 45 points in base. You know, we got some injuries to Christian Welsh. Christian Welsh now gone.
Honestly, I didn't think I had it in me.
Are you going to be relevant this year or what?
Mate, I thought I was just a fucked up Newcastle player, but then I go and get signed by the Storm, and there's a bit of potential there, and Belly, he's got some fucking belief in me, and mate, he hands me the 13 jersey, and I'm fucking thinking back to the younger days. Mate, I played all right. I could be a fucking go here.
Let's keep eyes on you, buddy.
Better than the fucking black version that plays for Bournemouth or whoever the cunt is in the EPL. Yeah. He's fucking useless, that cunt.
Yeah, he's been a bit quiet lately, old Joshy King.
That Joshy King's useless, whereas this fella for the Storm, mate, he's a chance. He's a chance.
Yeah,
anyway.
I like it. Keep eyes on you.
We move on, mate. This guy. Fuck. I was watching this game in the car. We had the dog race on Sunday. One of the dogs fucking went shit house, but this was on the way there, and mate, 26-24 at half time or something like that. 8 tries in the first half. And, mate, I was counting the dollars from Shawnee Russell. What a fucking legend. I should have had the balls to captain the bastard. And then all of a sudden, Jaden Campbell says, nah, big fuck you. Here's me knees in the side of your ribs. Crunch your lung. Off to hospital he went.
Yeah, no, I got some funny noise going on in the background here. I got no idea what's going on. I missed half of what you said, King.
Vibrate, mate.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Anyway, no, look, it was an entertaining game, King. Points all over the park. People starting with Mitchy Moses rewarded big time. He looked really good. 3 try assists, kicked plenty of goals.
And, mate, it will fucking continue. Anyone who's missed him, get on. Get on.
So Sneaky Pod.
Destroy Cronulla this week. There's another 90 this week for sure. Crystal bullshit, that one.
Sneaky Pod there. Philip Sammy with the Gutherino on Gutho was quite interesting as well. A double for him, a double for Brian Kelly. Sean Russell, a first half hat-trick, and obviously the rib injury with him, and he's going to be missing now for a number of weeks. So good luck. I don't know what you do with him now at 285K, and now there's some chat that Sivo might be actually coming good by the time Russell's ready to return. So
about a week
that
ago,
makes things interesting.
About a week ago, we went through draft.
Mm-hmm.
And in 3 of my drafts out of the 4, I picked Sean Lane, and you scoffed at me. You fucking gave it to me. Mate, the big cunt is that big, he just falls over the try line. This bloke can score a try.
This is going to be one of those ones where I can't really say much.
You can't.
When there was what they're putting Matto in the middle for is beyond me, but he's played 80 minutes, 50 points in base, you big man. Cross to reply, as healthy as any back row this week. So what can I say? He's a big he's a baby giraffe. He looks like he's going to fall over when he...
Brownie's out on the piss with fucking Jared Haynes.
Oh,
he ain't coming back anytime soon. You've got
he's in the 17 this week, just saying.
They're talking about 1 to 3 weeks for Matto. Well, we know Matto, that'll turn into fucking 4 to 6. Lane's got job security, mate, and he's got ability. The combination with Dill Brown looks good. He ain't the worst pick in the world, mate.
Yeah, look, we're talking about these guys like Liam Martin and Catewell. Look, there's a guy. If Parra going to score points, he generally is amongst it. He's always there or thereabouts scoring a try, the big gangly bastard. So, yeah, look, I don't like to say it, but, yeah, whatever. Will Smith's an interesting one, King. He ended up playing – where is he in the list here? 80 minutes and then produced 83 points. So he's 205k. I have no idea what was the late switch. Brimson being ruled out, obviously.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get the relevance out of Smith. He was meant to come off the bench at 14. So just be careful with that one, depending on what's happening with Alexander Brimson, guys. I know he's tempting there at 205k, but just keep an eye out.
Mate, I did have him in one of my preseason teams at sort of secondary hooker behind Randall, just purely to spend cash on Turbo. But look, Smithy, he's proven himself to be one of the most consistent 14s in the game without being brilliant. It's where he belongs. When Brimo comes back, it's where he'll end up. He is not Supercoach relevant whatsoever.
And just a quick shout out, one of my mates, Nick Fowler's in the chat, mate. How are you, Fowler? I hope you're watching with him. Having a good night, boys.
Nico.
Yes, that is Nico. So, cheers, boys. I thought Sexton looked really good, King. I was a bit on the fence. I even think I called him a trap in the preseason. I've got SJ, I've got Cheese, I've got Matt. I've got a few problems, but I think Sexton's going to be the one. I go SJ too. I think, granted that 3 metre forward pass he threw for his only try assist was a little bit how you going. I just like him. I think he's involved. He's tough. He kicks goals. So I'm bringing Sexton in. I liked it.
Still a trap.
Yeah, I'll probably be eating my words. Davey Fafita was pretty quiet with 60 points there. Ended up updating pretty nicely in the end, but no major attacking stats apart from the one line break. IPAP quiet as well. IPAP's
tell
minutes,
you what as
I'd
well.
have a look.
Somebody in the chat snip this next fucking 36 seconds. The fucking bullshit call to take away Bo Firma's line break assist. A try assist as well. The line break assist, mate. He fucking fed a winger who went over the line. Like, call it a fucking try contribution all you like, but it's a line break assist every day of the fucking week. Someone send this to Tommy Sangster. Sangster, talk to your fucking people, mate. They're fucking up. They really are. You've robbed me and probably 40% of the other fucking rest of the super coaches of about 10 or 15 points. So get your shit together.
Did he play 80 for more? For more? What did he play?
I think he did.
80 minutes, and he's been known to start again this week. So if you don't have for more, FEMA, I don't even know what the fuck is. Someone get us a
How is that hard for you to say?
Well, I've heard people say for more or FEMA. Like, I don't know what the actual pronunciation is. Yeah, can we get some clarity, some guidance on that? What's the in the dictionary? You know how it tells you how to sound the word out. I need it for more. Yeah, look, there was
Firma. I'm on Firma, mate. Yeah, but
we call him the leg. Is it close enough? FEMA. We can just call him the leg. Anyway, Junior Paulo. Well, have you heard people pronounce his name? Anyway, let's move on. Dylan Brown hurt probably a few as well at 466k. He had a good preseason. A few people start with him. Just the one try assist there. Gutho as well, 40. Marnie as well. So whilst there was plenty of points out there for Parra.
Sorry, Hampton. Kano, I disagree. I disagree completely that a try assist and a line break assist go together. I'm not saying that they don't, mate. You may be right in the game of Supercoach, but I disagree that they should go together. So there you go. Anyway, sorry, you were saying about Marnie, mate?
Just some key guys there for Parra that a few people probably expected to score well to start who didn't. Dylan Brown, Gutho and Marnie. But, hold tight, forms temporary, class permanent. I'm just trying to see, there's probably not much else there. Let's move on because we're taking an hour to go through the reviews before we even get to team lists. And we still got one game to go, which was the blockbuster that we all called to finish off the round. And it was the Dogs getting home over the Cowboys 6-4 in the end.
Mate, the best thing I ever did was only watch the last 5 minutes of this.
Can I just say, though, sometimes you have two shit teams that play against each other and it makes a good game?
Yeah, well, this
because
wasn't
you don't know what's going to fucking happen. Like ball could come from dummy half and first receiver drops it. Like, you're on the edge of your seat.
Oh, mate, look, and don't get me wrong, this had that potential, but what you want to see is 46 plays 44, not 6 plays 4. When it's dominated by defense and bad attack, you prefer it dominated by good attack and bad defense. But yeah, look, it's definitely one that we can forget and not really worry about what sort of came out of it. A lot of people whinged about fucking Tamalolo and his score.
I started with him, King. I
53. I know why people are whinging. I know the simple fact that this guy was the best, and what he went to.
So people didn't. Can I tell you what? I tell you what baited me. All the mail I heard was he was going to be playing prop, and that was why Cotter was going to be relevant. Then I saw, I'm sure it was Dean Young, who's the assistant coach there, a grab saying he'd be playing big minutes. I think it was from the Whisper or something like that. There was a screen grab, a little graphic going around saying, Lolo would play big minutes and they need him to. So at 485K, I just saw it as a low risk start. He only played the 51 minutes and bashed out 51 in base. So, but he just didn't look like there was no venom in the runs. There was, I think there was some analysis of the stats in the Podmasters group chat, King, that was quite interesting. Just looking at his meters, he averages, he took 14 or 16 hit-ups or something like that for about 140 meters, which for an average forward is pretty good. But you go back a couple of years and look at Lolo, and he's running 200 plus meters with ease. So there's all this speculation about, whether he's going to be moved on or whether he's happy there or what's going on. And
you know what I think? What really annoys me is that Tamalolo's been turned into this guy who is supposed to start that kind of play in the Cowboys. Tamalolo's been turned into the guy that is the front rower. Where Tamalolo used to excel was off the back of a quick play. Off the back of some other elite forward.
Matty Scott, Jimmy Tamara.
Correct. You go back to the Matty Scott days, mate, and Matty Scott would set the platform. He would start it and allow Tamalolo to get that quick play the ball. All of a sudden, a 6 to 8 meter run turned into a 10 to 12 to 15 meter run, a line break. He doesn't have the cattle around him. He has been made to turn into the first play and the second play. He's a victim of that. Forget anything else. You put a Brian To'o in his team. You put a Brian To'o in his team that starts to play off on round one with a quick run, a quick play the ball, and Tamalolo will dominate again.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. There was also a late change in this game as well, King. They had penciled in young Lukey and Nanai to start on the edges, and Lukey actually got flicked to the bench for Gilbert.
Yeah,
ended up going on and scoring his try, but Nanai ended up playing 80 minutes, pumped out 40 points in base. So if you went the quick switch from Lukey to Nanai, well done, because that looks like it was the move. But, we'll have to see how that goes. If it's performance-based, you might have to just keep an eye on those team lists week to week. But there was a bit of a Swifty from Peyton to start the season, which would have stung a few people. But yeah, look, otherwise out of this one, I know a few people looked at Tabadai Fido, only 34 points. Again, if you've picked him, you're just going to have to wear that at times. You can come out and score 130 next week, but you probably thought in a matchup versus the dogs, he had a pie or two in him. I think JTB.
Can't shit.
That's all good.
He's on the list.
Tanua Brown, JTB, there was that 270 odd K price at prop. I think he copped a HIA or something like that. There was some sort of injury, so that hurt. People that started with him, I can't recall if he's in the list this week. Your boy Val Holmes stunk it up. King at centre.
I was wrong there. Yeah.
Look, round one.
He scored 16 points.
Something like that. Yeah, lowest for the Cows, 16. But mate, your cousin Max is probably most notable to talk out of this, and some big Supercoach relevance, mate. He only played.
Dominate him at fucking family parties. I'd fucking run over the top of the cunt.
And it shows because, in 38 minutes, only 38 minutes, he's pumped out 53 points in base. So at 188K in that front row position, I think you could jump on him now there's not many great options out there. He looked one of the better ones, and he actually looked really good out on the field, I reckon. So don't overlook Maxi King as one of your must-have cheapies over the next couple of weeks, I reckon. That said, he'll probably come out next week and get 20, and everyone will be saying he's a trap.
What about the Liam Knight Award winner, mate?
Yes, mate. 27 points from the man himself.
Oh, it makes me hard.
So, look, I must admit, I thought the Dogs might have had a few more points in them. Obviously, TPG was a late exclusion from that game, but no excuses. I just thought they might have been able to put some points together, but it just wasn't there.
Yep.
So, look, that's interesting. If they're going to only do that against the Cowboys, what will happen when they come up against...
And how's fucking Bogan's form selecting Ockenball? Bogan.
Oh, has he?
Through that. Can't fall asleep.
I reckon Ockenball's a pod. I'm saying it now.
There you go.
I nearly got in a Twitter argument, but I declined from calling a cunt.
With the sponge?
No, not with Benny. Me and Benny argue about politics. No, because someone was going on about how the Fox is worth the money he's being paid.
Oh,
And I said, I watched this fucking game with the Cowboys and Bulldogs, as I mentioned before, and they just continuously tried to go the Fox's wing the whole fucking time, and it was just abysmal. The one time they went to Ockenball's wing, scores a fucking meat pie.
Yeah. And
someone said, "Oh, I think that's because of the guy inside him," and it's like, but that just goes to show that once the full fucking Bulldogs click to the fact that they have more than one attacking option, I reckon Ockenball's going to have a good year.
Mate, look, Josh Adokar would look good in any of the top 4 sides. He will look terrible in any of the bottom 8 sides. Adokar is not the player that people think can change around a team. He is there as a team accompanier. He just does what he can to sort of go by. And, mate, Ockenball, I like it. I don't mind it, mate. I love the day he ran over fucking Cameron Smith. That was fucking brilliant. Remember that, Hampton?
Yeah, I do remember that, actually.
Yeah.
And anyway. Let's face it, this year is his first year back at uninterrupted season. I've got high hopes for fucking my Ockenboy to go well this year.
Yep, fair enough.
Look, I love the dreads. I'll give you that much. King, just quickly before we move on to this one, Tommy Gilbert. Is it Tommy Gilbert? I'm thinking of Tim Gilbert. Tom Gilbert is a really interesting one. He's that similar price as Lukey and Anai, but he played 75 minutes. Yes, he scored the try, but 61 points in base. So I don't know what the hell is go with the rotation there up in North Queensland. If you're a Cowboys fan, there's not many of those around. Let us know, but I don't know if that puts Gilbert on the radar, but that's a good base output for 75.
Mate, I think it might be on the radar, but it's a long way away. You know what I mean? Like, put it this way, he's pod. Fuck, you're definitely not going to get fucking accused of popularity chasing if you fucking take him, because no one is. But
if this is what I'm reading is correct, he's in 0% of teams, 415 selections in total. Doesn't even make up 1%. Dual front row, second row. What are you thinking? Anyway,
mate, hey, fuck, he's something, you know. Maybe you've had Welch in your team and you got to downgrade to someone. Go for it. Save 150K. Get someone who's guaranteed a price rise at round 3. Yeah, fair enough.
And that was round 1. So it was.
Hell. All right, that's it, guys. Thanks very much for joining us this week on BJonGameDay.
Well, the team list show will be out tomorrow.
Fucking hell.
We'll have to shorten that up because it's holy dilly.
Yeah, gonna edit that shit, Bogan. Fuck. Although we're still at 49 viewers, so ladies and gentlemen, thanks for staying on for an hour. I don't know what the fuck else she's going to do, but it is a Tuesday night. It is Teamless Tuesday. Let's have a look at the first game of the week. Thursday night, we have the Storms up against the Bunnies. Oh, Bogan, what the fuck was your team doing last week?
Mate, they're being they've went back to traditional form, South. I think it's going to be a long season. For my last season as a Rabbitoh supporter before the Dolphins come in, I don't think it's going to be a glorious one.
Mate,
Supercoach wise.
Oh, yeah,
Go
for it.
on. No, you
Go
go.
for it,
Go.
Anthony.
Come on. We're speeding it up. Let's go. Come
Mate,
on.
look,
Give us your
all I was
anecdotal.
going to say was forget Lachlan, Ilias. Obviously A-Ray is gone. Latrell wasn't there, but that wasn't a big enough change to make that performance first round of the year. I'm absolutely disgusted in what the fuck Cody Walker did. Like, the last 30 minutes of that game, that bloke never got out of a walking stride. It was pathetic. He should be docked fucking his match fee. He should be docked 50 grand. He should be.
Who was that?
Effort. Cody Walker.
Yeah.
Mate, he was absolutely pathetic. And I'm dirty that it's in my team just on fucking principle alone. Forget Supercoach value.
You started with him.
Yeah.
Oh, 700 plus, isn't he?
Yeah, 700 plus.
Oh,
yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
God. Look, he'll bounce back. He's too good not to. That young Ilias is going to need a lot of guidance, so it might take away from Walker at times. But I think they'll bounce back. Latrell's a big in, and he does make a big difference. I think you put Latrell in that game against the Broncos, and they probably win the game, to be honest. Melbourne, different story, but they also welcome back a couple of big names, obviously, with Munster and Harry Grant, who also hold some Supercoach relevance. And I know there are a number of teams that have run one of these two guys on their bench to start, so they'll be two very welcomed additions.
Yeah.
Apart from that, obviously, we said Jennings ACL, so Dean Jeremiah comes in. I'm not sure of his price, but this should be a good game. I'm expecting South to bounce back. One thing I did hear on Ilias, which was promising to hear from Demetrio post-game after a loss like that, was they're really keen to persevere with Ilias. They talked to him about would it be likely that he gets a rest, sort of how the Roosters used Sammy Walker at times last year. And Demetrio's perspective was that he's not going to get any better not playing first grade. So obviously the only way he's going to get better is by being in the cauldron, so to speak, and that experience is second to none. So from a security perspective on Ilias, that was nice to hear, but yeah, it wasn't converting to Supercoach points. I think he took on the line a couple times and went close a couple times maybe, but I think that was at least promising that the security should be okay for Ilias, but we'll see if they get dusted here and next week, they'll be asking some serious questions of him, I think.
Yeah, I do like that attitude. I like that coaching. You've got to show faith in your halves. You've got to show faith in your halves. These are the guys who run your team week in, week out. These are the guys that everyone else in your team feeds off and creates their playoffs. So the fact that he's going to show that confidence in Ilias and promise him that spot for X amount of time. I mean, he may come out to him, behind closed doors and say, you've got 4 weeks, you've got 6 weeks, It gives a kid the chance to sort of, develop and make that sort of transition just that little bit easier. If this kid goes and thinks his head's on the chopping block every week, he's not going to perform. You need that
pressure.
confidence. You need people to back you. Simple as
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. So that's promising.
Saying that, he looked fucking terrible, mate. He looked absolutely atrocious. But anyway.
I think he's more, I don't know if he's really a game managing half. He's a union boy, so we'll see. I think he's got more of a running game, but we'll have to see what happens. The other interesting thing from last week with the Melbourne game was Meaney goal kicked. I think there's an issue with Pap's ankle, but there's no Meaney in the team sheet this week, at least not in the 17.
Mate,
so
he was probably one I was wrong about last week was Meaney. I think 26 points he scored and kicked 4 goals or 3 goals or whatever it was. So
I think playing 5'8" is unusual for him as well. So he did a job for him and whatever. But obviously he's dropped out of the team list, which I thought was interesting because I thought he might have got that George Jennings spot as well on the wing. But they obviously have some other plans for.
I don't think they lose too much in Dean Jeremiah though. He's obviously performed well in the past. So
yeah. But yeah.
Next game.
They're the main ones. Moving on to the next one, it is
the Dragons. King enough. Don't worry about that, cunt. Dragons and the Panthers. Mate, the Dragons get brought back down to earth, don't they?
You'd imagine so. It'd be a good test for the Dragons.
Early season cheapie, mate. Georgie Burgess replaces the injured, what was the cunt's name? Sharon Woods. Sharon Woods hurt his vagina. So Georgie Burgess gets a spot on the bench in the 17 spot. So popular early season cheapie didn't come to fruition in round one. But again, if you look at anyone downgrade, maybe a Welch or something like that, Georgie Burgess is back there with a chance.
First hit out, so we'll see what he's capable of. I think he could average 50 if he can get enough time out there, but returning from injury, so we'll see. I think Clemmy will like that.
Mate, the big thing for me, I look at George Burgess and Josh Kerr. I rate them so far ahead of Francis Molo and Blake Laurie. Like, fit guys, get them big bodies. I reckon they dominate your game more to begin with, but yeah, I could be wrong.
And look, on that Penrith side of the park, I don't think any changes apart from Moses Leota being injured, who's been replaced by Spencer. We're all a big fan of Spencer Laniu getting an opportunity to start, and Matty Eisenhuth comes in. Yeah, big Spencer comes in for Leota, who will miss. Oh, you don't like Spencer?
No.
Oh, I'm a big fan of Spencer. I'm a big fan of Spencer.
Seasons ago.
Keen to see how it goes.
At least.
He might be relevant if you get enough minutes, but he didn't get the minutes last week, so I don't know what the plan is. He's only 250 odd K, but at that front row position, you know, if you're struggling, maybe
all I
keep an
just
eye on him.
mentioned in one of the chats was basically for me, it just feels like Spencer would have done it already. I think he's been there long enough in the Panthers squad that if he was going to sort of break into that starting spot, which obviously he has now purely through injury, I just don't see him scoring more than sort of 40 average, and maybe that's enough to get a bit of a price jump, but I can't imagine it's going to be much more than that. I think he would have shown it by now.
Come on, mate. He plays the toughest position on the park. He's 21 years old. He's played a couple of years now, so I think over the next few years we'll see him become one of the better front rowers in the game, if that ends up being his position. But anyway, I'm keen to see Spencer. A couple of people rolling the dice on Apasai King, and I've also had a few people messaging me asking me about Appy. So I mentioned it earlier. I think you just need to rely on a little bit of those attacking stats, and obviously Penrith will have some points in them. So you're just hoping that Appy's in and around there to get those attacking stats, especially while Cleary is out. I think once Cleary's back, you're going to be less inclined to see Appy with some of those key attacking stats. But
hey, Shano, when it comes to Penrith, mate, your fucking opinion doesn't count, cunt. You're the most fucking black-eyed bastard ever. All you think about is your fucking Penrith in their brown outfits and shit. Forget about it, mate. You don't count.
So, yeah, look, I think any of you Panthers boys, you started with the options again. Edwards had a blinder last week, even though he's not Supercoach relevant. But, yeah, Targos, Critter looked really good. Liam Martins and guys like that, Coruscant. Cool. So, jump on. Second game on the Friday night should be another interesting game with the Chooks taking on the Eagles. I don't believe there's any changes. Just having a quick look here. No changes at this point to that 1-17 for the Chooks, but you did have Billy Smith and Victor Radley both copying HIAs in that game, so just keep an eye out on Teamlists for those ones. If you're particularly probably Billy Smith, if you were thinking of playing him this week, which you probably aren't after what happened last week. On the Manly side of the park, your Dylan Walker's coming back into the squad at the expense of young Cooler, and Carl Lawton suffered a head knock, so he's been named on the bench, and you've also got Andrew Davey in there, which makes Bullmore even more interesting before Schuster returns. So it'll be interesting to see whether Davey works his way into that side before Schuster's fit and takes that edge back row spot off Bullmore at some point. But for now, it's Bullmore's all good. Yeah, as I said, you're just sort of persevering at this point. If you had Tommy Turbo, you knew he was playing the Roosters in round 2. If you had Teddy, you knew he was playing Manly in this round. So same with your Walkers and your Clearys. You didn't look ahead, did you?
Mate, you know me. I don't look at the fucking draw. I had no idea that Cody Walker was fucking facing the Roosters at Melbourne. Penrith in rounds 2, 3, and 4. Are you fucking kidding me? Mate, I'm not that professional. Jesus fucking Christ.
Look, what I will say is I'm expecting the Roosters to bounce back in a big way after their performance last week. You don't see, usually 2 bad performances out of Trent Robinson coach sides too often. So it's a big game for both sides. It's going to be a poor start to the season for one of them, assuming one of them starts with a 0-2. So it's a big game, and obviously the Eagles will need Tommy to step up and be a bit more involved if they're going to win this one. So it should be actually a cracking game of footy. I'm looking forward to this one on Friday night.
I think the biggest concern with the Roosters is their forward pack. Maria Hargraves is getting no better. I'll be honest, mate. I don't rate Lindsay Collins. There's a reason sort of why we sort of looked at him in this preseason. I think the Roosters, when everything goes right up front, they've got the best back line in the comp. I think the potency and the attacking power there is crazy. Takiaho last week was terrible. His hands are terrible. Gus is obviously solid. Satilli needs to be on the back of quick play. I just think we spoke about the blueprint to beat Turbo last week and how Penrith sort of had it. I think the biggest thing when you play the Roosters, if you can sell your forward pack out there to get on top of them, I think your back line can struggle. Like, you just struggle through to beat them. I think that's when they're most vulnerable, is when they're on the back foot. And I just look at their forward pack. Connor Watson, I just don't think he can lead a forward pack as well as probably Verrills can, or, that kind of thing. And Radley needs to step up, mate. He needs to be better than he is.
I mean, they lost him as well at a point which hurt them as well. Just again, he's just so intent on putting a shot on that it's to his detriment, ends up knocking himself out. So, yeah, look, the Chooks have got to bounce back. What more can you say? Our boy just remiss me as well to mention this bloke, Collins King. He played 48 minutes and he bumped out about a point per minute but copped a penalty against him. So he had 53 points in base in 48 minutes but finished on 49 points. So I think he's got some upside in Big Lindsay. But yeah, look,
mate, as long as there's 57.9 at the end of the season, I'm happy. I don't give a shit.
Look, it's interesting what you say about that forward pack. And you could argue there's a couple of Hamoli is a young up and comer. That's probably about it, really. But yeah, it should be an interesting battle.
Look at that bench. Like, Butcher's no good. Baker's no good. They're weak, mate. They're just weak in the fucking engine room. Blocker would have a fucking field day with him if he knew. So if you actually ever put him on a Roosters game, he'd fucking go off at him.
Yeah, we'll see. Look, you don't need your forwards to be too skillful or talented. You just got to get them to do a job. So, I think the Chooks have got a bit more than just job doers with guys like Angus and Satilli and stuff. But we'll see. Look, good game on Friday. Let's move on. We'll be here till
Paddy Ledbetter. Fucking hell. How many books behind Josh has he actually read? You're funny, son.
I don't think he's at home. I think he's using the library's Wi-Fi.
That one there. Not them ones. The ones down the bottom of the uni books that fucking once upon a time I was a smart cunt and fucking went and did that. But that's about it, mate. The rest.
I love the library comment. That's a cracker.
Oh, Jesus.
First game on the Saturday, Titans Warriors, another one that could be Supercoach friendly. You got some guys coming back. Well, you got Reece Walsh back for the Warriors, which is a big in. Obviously, SJ out is a big out. I started with SJ, so that one hurts. It looks like SJ is going to be out for a month with a hammy. So that was worst case scenario. And, just for that simple fact of what's happened has happened. He's so... it just happens too often with him, so I might have to get rid of him and then just forget about old SJ, unfortunately. Aiken has held down the edge, Katara as well, Curran. So they're all there. Pretty solid forward pack for the Warriors there. Young Vavai, or Valiami, has dropped out of the side as well, which is a bit disappointing after his shit score for a bottom dollar.
I don't mind Jesse Arthurs now that he's over the Warriors. I think it's probably a team where he can perform well. So.
And on the Titans side, I don't know how Jaden Campbell doesn't get any time after what happened with who was it that slid Dylan Brown that slid into Hutchinson last year. But Brimson should be back at this point. Marzu also looks like he's going to bed down that wing, which is another guy that plenty of people are keen on, but he's just a bit too expensive now, I think. He was everyone's favourite cheapie for a few years. As I said, Famore's got that starting edge locked up again for Feeder there as well, which is promising. What can you say? You might be looking at someone after what happened with these fullbacks on the weekend and some of these awkward matchups to start the round. You could be looking at someone like a Davey Fafita as a good captaincy option this week. And yeah, I'm keen on Sexton. I'm getting on Sexton. So,
mate, I really like what they did on the left-hand side with Kelly and Semi. I've always been a Brian Kelly fan, mate. I just think he plays so far above his weight. He's a smaller centre compared to what we see dominate the game these days, and the strength that this guy shows. And Philip Semi, mate, he just finishes tries. He he's just that typical winger that you can see score 2 or 3 tries a game, and they're always going to come with a line break. And he's not going to break any records or make any rep teams, but he gets the job done. Mate, Paddy Herbert's dropout. You saw it?
No, I didn't actually.
Oh, mate, it deserves a mention. Look, this bloke can do amazing things in the last 30 seconds of a fucking game. Obviously, last year he didn't throw that pass in the final series, and in the last 30 or seconds or a minute of the game there on the weekend, he's kicked a dropout and it's hit the corner post.
Oh no! Oh, okay. Sorry,
Mate,
I missed the actual dropout, but I saw the result. Yeah.
It takes a lot of fucking talent to do that, especially when you're not fucking trying to do it. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
One of the best I've ever seen. But anyway, fair to Paddy Carrigan. Paddy Herbert.
Look, so maybe some relevance, Supercoach relevance in this one, whether anyone started with Reece Walsh as a smoky pod amidst all this chaos of fullbacks as well, could be interesting. And you probably expect Walshy will kick goals too. And look, fair comment, Shilsey, about SJ being out, whether that might affect the output. The production of Alisi Katoa will remain to be seen, and that combination with Taylor or Harris DeVita, we'll have to see what happens there. So yeah, a bit of annoying one for Katoa owners possibly. Moving on, 5:30 slot on a Saturday.
Finish up there.
Fucking tell me about it. Slogging through them. Sharkies, your boys taking on Parramatta. It should be a good game, King.
Yeah, look, I think, mate, a lot of Supercoach points in this game. I think Cronulla showed on the weekend they're definitely vulnerable in defence, whether it's through the middle, whether it's down the edges. There's a lot of vulnerability, and I think the Eels are the right team to do it. I think Eels smash us, mate. I think we get beat by about 20 or 30 in this one. I think the Eels have probably shown in the preseason and in the first round there that they're, coming to the season is probably the best attacking prepared side. And I think they touch us up pretty well here. So, anyway, a big score again for Mitch Moses. I think Reid Marnie can bounce back. I think Gutho's probably going to put 100 on us. And, we'll see how we go.
Mate, I'm a Maddo owner. For some reason, I thought he was a good option. He's out this week with a hamstring. So am I right in wanting to trade Maddo this week? People in the chat, let me know. What do you think? Do I get rid of Maddo now?
Yes. Because we
thanks.
both know, mate, 1 to 3 weeks is 4 to 6 weeks.
And it's a hamstring, which is an issue. And the role has changed significantly. I didn't think that was how it was going to play out. Whether the hamstring niggle ended up playing a part in his role out there or whatever, I'm not sure. But yeah, it was a bit alarming to see that from Maddo. So I'm pretty keen on moving him on in Classic, I reckon.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Next game, folks. Let's run them through quick because I'm fucking done.
No. I want to spend another 20 on this Sharks paragraph. I reckon I've got some points I want to bring to the forefront for all the listeners and the viewers.
Mate, there's still 45 people in the chat fucking listening to us. So after an hour and 24 minutes, I reckon we're doing all right. Mate, I remember when the footy show used to start at 9:30 and finish 11:30.
How good was that? How good was that? Bring that back. 9:30.
I miss Paddy and I miss Sterlo and bring the lads back. Fucking hell. Definitely watching us on a fucking Tuesday night.
That's all time. All right, we're skipping over that. Look, Schneider, the COVID Schneider, that's a pain in the ass. So there's our first example of some of the COVID stuff coming into it.
Yeah.
So young Schneider will miss this week at least. So for all he comes in.
Positive from the Cowboys. At least they've named Tommy Gilbert. Like we were so used to last year, like the Newcastle thing with, Jesse Sue coming on and fucking starting. Like it just, biggest frustration I guess we have as super coaches is when that happens, trying to get some stability around your team. So they've named Tommy Gilbert at 11, which is good. Lukey goes to the bench.
Yeah, keep eyes on Gilbert. Another 70 minutes out there, and that base is going to be hard to overlook before price rises for a dual guy that came out of nowhere. Hudson Young, CHN, I thought they looked pretty good. CHN was pretty quiet base-wise, but it looks like Ricky's going to give him 80 minutes on the edge, and Tapane and Papali are going to play in the middle there. I also did read, I think it was Tapane and, was it Big Papa? Have got an exemption for their vaccine, so they'll be actually able to play.
Fucking hell, cunts won't let me in a pub when I don't have vaccinations up here, but these cunts can come and play football.
Yeah, so look.
Bring more to the economy.
If you're on Tapane, you're happy about that. And Tommy Starling obviously coming in for a couple of weeks. It looks like Hodgson will miss minimum. It was best case scenario, which was probably worst case scenario for everyone that plays Supercoach or any Raiders fan. You were hoping it was. God forbid, I wouldn't hope this on anyone. But
Hodgson should just retire, mate. He's had enough. He's done.
Oh man. So there was a little bit of hope there that all of a sudden Starling became relevant, but it didn't come to fruition, unfortunately. Fortunately for Hodgson, I'm not wishing injury on anyone.
What's the bloke on the bench, Trevelyan?
I'm not. Okay.
He's Hawker. This is the bloke who stepped in the trial when the boys had COVID. He has got a high school combination or a college combination through wherever it was with Schneider. So definitely a bloke that I don't think Stewart will hesitate to give minutes to once Schneider's back in the team.
Yep, so there you go. On Cowboys side, we've probably touched on all the ones that are worth mentioning. I'll stick with Lolo for another week and see what happens next week, and hopefully the output's a bit better from the big man this week, but
always fucking talking about me books. You're just lucky I don't read my fucking poetry on here. That'd really fall you to sleep. If you fucking want to, go to sleep at night, lads, I'll bust out the poetry.
We'll have to bring on BJ at the library.
Josh King Poetry Jam. There you go, guys.
Yeah, mate, I've fucking been doing plenty.
We've got some distinguished listeners with some serious literature the boys are into, so... Yeah. Mate, bedtime with Kingy, that's a good segment.
That would be all right.
I'd get around that.
I'll put that on OnlyFans.
Have we got an OnlyFans avenue, King?
Yeah, mate.
I like it.
All right, who we got next, folks?
Newcastle taking on the Tigers. Tell you what, I might have to dust off the old Knights jersey after last week.
Mate, I'll tell you what, Bogan, this is the game that Bogan was talking about. Where it's two, and not considering your game last week against the Roosters, mate, but it's two shit teams that could turn into a high-scoring game that's entertaining. It's good for Supercoach, or it could turn into what we saw last week, the Cowboys and the Dogs, and just no points whatsoever.
Yeah, look, one thing I will say is I watched Kalen pretty closely last week, and he didn't play. He almost played like more of an acting half than a fullback. He didn't really swing around in any of the the backline plays in positions where they needed to. He was sort of getting in and being that conduit between the dummy half and then the halves a bit more out in the backline. So I'm interested to see how Kalen plays in this game, and I don't know, maybe it was just a game plan against the Chooks. I'm not sure, but yeah, interested to see how Ponga goes, and there's probably plenty of people that might have started with him that will be keen to see how he goes as well. Yep. Dom Young, 330-odd K. He's had a good start. You might be able to get some money out of him. What else is in there? Kurt Mann's retained the starting 13. The output wasn't amazing. How many minutes did he play just for the...
I'm still on him, mate. I reckon there's... the only thing
62,
I put down
62 minutes.
The only thing I put down with Kurt Mann is just early season fatigue. I think he is a 60 average player just with how much of a fucking annoying pest he is, and that he wants the ball and that he doesn't pass, and that the Knights are shit, that once a set at least, they won't know what they're doing and he'll get the ball and take a hit up. So that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, look, it works. 62 minutes, 36 in base. Wasn't amazing, but there's still some upside in Curdy Man. No attacking stats really in that. So, Tigers side of the park, what's doing? Now you might be able to play Hastings a bit more confidently. Did you have a close look at Hastings versus that Storm game, King? Or?
No, as I say, mate, I fucking fell asleep. So all I can see, he scored 20 or 30 odd points, and I'm a little bit disappointed. Well, that was the Storm, so... easier opposition, maybe that changes.
Yeah. So, looking for bounce backs from a few of those guys, like people like yourself that started with Luciano, looking for bounce backs, whether Kelma to Alagi's a play this week. Who knows, depending on how much depth.
Got a reserve spot on him.
And Chris Randall even showed he's probably just going to do a job and get you 50 as we expected, which was nice. He didn't bomb out. So
sure.
that was good.
Next.
Fucking how many more is there? There can't be that many.
Fuck, there's one left, surely.
6:15 on the Sunday.
Cunt team versus cunt team. All right, next. Mate, look, the Stags combo combination was brilliant. I think Reynolds definitely makes a difference to the service that they get. I think this is potentially the game that non-Stags owners and non-combo owners absolutely get scared the fuck out of. Look, Sunday afternoon, it's going to be a dry track. Yeah, I'm scared, mate. I'm scared that both these guys score 120.
Look, I didn't start with Selwyn even though I was on the edge because I wasn't sure if he's going to play centre and blah, 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 blah. I've seen enough. I'm really keen to use one of his super boosts to get him in this week because I think he's going to have some big games and this will be one I don't want to miss. Yep. Probably not a must-have, but it'll be a nice to have. And, you know, we all love burning a trade, even though I've just said don't do that. But, yeah, I think he'll have genuine upside and genuine ceiling to him. So get around it. I
didn't like what I saw last week from Billy Smith. I know he obviously had that HIA. I thought he was unfit. I thought he was shitty. I think I'm just going to pull the trigger on Billy Smith to Selwyn Cobbo. Cobbo's shown enough that the potential is there. He probably couldn't have scored any less points than he did last week. You know, like at 40 points, he fucked up that many things. He blew a couple of tries, some line breaks. The guy's got potential written all over him. And like I said earlier, Stags is not the kind of guy who's going to hold the ball away from him. Stags will take the opportunities when they're there for him, but he's got no hesitancy whatsoever in offloading the ball and letting Cobbo do it. So I love the combination they've got for Supercoach, and yeah, I'm scared that I've got neither of them because I really can't get both in.
Fuck, even if Stags drops to 350 or something like that, who cares? Like, you got him in there because he can score tries. You got to pick centre wingers somewhere. You know, if any centre you're going to pick is going to score tries, it's probably Katoni. Tessie comes back into the side as well. So Adam Reynolds obviously much more influential and important, but Tessie comes in, the guy that's probably trained all pre-season at fullback. That might be an added dynamic as well for that Brisbane backline, and obviously Albert Kelly's looks to have sewn up the six with young Billy Walters coming off the bench. So, dog side of the park, TPJ will be back. If you had TPJ, you probably traded him out once he got ruled out. So I don't know if you're going to start with him, but pretty keen to see big TPJ out there as well because I still think despite the basket case that he can be at times, he's still going to have some real Supercoach relevance, and we might see it this week. And probably up for a big game against his former club. So he could be up for a big one, but it should be a good game. I think anyone's shouting out guys like Capewell are pretty solid. Obviously, Payne Haas, if you don't have him and you can get him in, find a way. If you're unsure on captaincy options, this is probably a big boy to be able to finish the week off for you if you're really scared off by some of the scores last week. Otherwise, you know, there's not really any. Max King, probably one of the diamonds in amongst all that, but yeah. That's probably all I could see at this point from that one. While King's gone, I'll just have a look back at the chat. There's some fire in the chat. There's been some good comments following on from absolutely loving the chat tonight. We're going to have bedtime with Finchie's kids, King.
Yeah, we'll give it a run, mate. We'll give it a run. New Spotify channel.
Fitz NIB on. I like that, Clinny. Fitz Nibbin. Yep, I like it. Kando saying no Garner on the bench, go Kelmer. So, yeah, go the Kelp there if that's the case. Yeah, no Garner. So, JP might have no, I'm not sure with that one. Anyway, the chat's been absolutely lit. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. You've been awesome. As always, good luck for round 2. Stick to your guns from round 1. Sure there'll be a bit of trade rage happening, King, amongst a few people absolutely. Like yourself.
Have we got any results from last week to go through, Bogues? Because we'd prefer not to.
Oh, we're still going. Shit.
Fuck.
All right, we'll go through these very quickly. So the group first up, It was the Waikari Warriors. Damie. The Swampies with Craig.
Nah, top one, that'll do. Moving on.
Top
Well
one.
done, the Warriors. Top 8, 1084, 489 overall. Let's move.
Let's move.
If you ain't first, you're last.
The Invitational. Marty.
Yep.
With a big score.
2022.
Turned up.
Solid you can't.
So,
He'll be watching in WA. It's only fucking 4 o'clock in the afternoon over there.
Shout out, Marty. Good
Shout
start,
out,
brother.
mate. Go next.
the Orleans.
Side note, Bogan was above both of us, mate. Lime Milk, there's a Canberra boy. 947. Ooh. Still, we don't even make the list, mate, so we can't fucking say much. All right, next.
Next was the results from the draft.
Draft.
Yep.
Oh, next.
Who's playing?
Sorry.
Can you get it to fit the fucking screen or what?
Yeah, hold on. Fucking hell.
Sorry, mate. Just India. Just India. I think I lost.
Oh.
Did I lose? Oh no, I won. 750. High score of the week too.
Yeah.
Give it to Shano. He'd be filthy.
Shana.
Draft ladder.
Yeah. Wait, what?
It's on points difference.
Oh, it should be on points scored.
Yeah,
Fuck.
for this one, it's points difference. So Clemmy, the auto pick genius.
Yeah.
Bullets Kebab sitting on top.
What a gun.
And I think he was first 2 auto picks for Toto and Garrick, who didn't score well this week. So
Not bad.
But it is helped by the fact that I don't think Wayno looked at his team with his 470 points. So good start from the defending champion. Not
Very
even looking
true.
like he's done much to his team.
And the third grade Bogan Cup. I don't know how I fucked it up, but it starts this week. I had it set to start week 2 for some fucking reason.
That'll do, mate. That's good enough, mate. We've got some people in there. That's enough.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yes, of course.
Gentlemen, anything more?
Fuck up, Kando. You're only one on updates, so you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, boys and girls, thank you for joining us another week. I'm Joshua King. That is Brent Hampton. Behind the scenes, we've got Bogan. Boys and girls, we will see you all next week for round 2 of Teamlist Tuesday. Don't raise trade. Fucking what? What? Same fucking thing.
All right, thanks for tuning in.
See you, bastards. Say hi to your mum for me.